Ice in my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
Welcome back, guys. We're back for Married at First Sight, the Denver edition, season 17 and episode 5. Take me down to Paradise City. How are you guys doing today? Sean, Kimberly?
I'm doing well. Doing very
Yep,
well.
doing good.
Awesome. Good to see both of you here today, joining me for this collaboration and panel. And good to see those of you out in the chat. Kerr Normal, good to see you there. Oh, and always glad to see James Colton. And this is a new face. Bridezilla. I like that, Bridezilla. This is a spinoff of Bridezilla. Okay, guys. What's the weather doing? Real quick, what's the weather doing where you guys are? We'll go with you, Sean.
63 here. 63 here.
Sunny, cloudy.
It's been raining the whole day. It's been raining.
Okay,
it's not a cold rain. It's a warm rain.
Okay. Kind of reminds me of when I was down in Houston. All right. We know you're in Texas. How about you, Kimberly?
Yes, a beautiful sunny day. A weekend all together. 62 degrees here.
Oh wow, that sounds like kind of cool for down there, but sounds comfortable. And you said it's a little bit rainy.
No, clear skies all weekend. Sunny, clear skies. Loved it.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, which is typical for North Carolina because we do get all 4 seasons.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, what did you guys real briefly? This is a much talked about episode of Married at First Sight. What did you guys think of this episode?
Go ahead, Kimberly.
Pretty good. I enjoyed it. Finally, my favorite part. We got to the honeymoon. I've been waiting for this for like 4 weeks now, or probably 4 months.
Yeah, it seems like forever, right? Because we're over on Wednesdays. By the way, guys, join us over on Kimberly Reviews on Wednesdays live as the episode goes live at 8 o'clock. We meet there at about 7:55 before the episode starts, and we have a ball in Kimberly Reviews chat every Wednesday as we chat in the while the episode is going on. You have to watch on your own device, of course, and then Kimberly comes to us during the commercial breaks and gives us her take, which is always hilarious. Yep. So, and what about? You're welcome. And what about you, Sean? What was your take on this episode? Was it much ado about nothing, or were there some real stressors and tension? Do you feel?
Well, I think it was a pretty good episode, but I got a feeling it's going to be another Gina and Clint situation. That we're not going to make it past the honeymoon. It's just going to go downhill for a couple.
Yeah, you know what? I can see that. I can see that, and then I guess there may be some my personal opinion spoilers a little bit later on about this couple and what's probably likely to happen with them. But we'll talk about that as we get to them because they're our last couple to discuss. So, guys, let's go ahead and get started. This week we had, and it was interesting. So we had the group, like when they arrived in Cancun, we had the group kind of like they were all coupled up, so you got Lauren and Orion that we were just talking about, but you also had Becca and Austin, you had Claire and Cameron and Emily and Brennan, and they're all kind of sitting around. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. See, Lifetime, they're jokesters. Let me tell you, I almost had PTSD. And you know why I almost had PTSD, you guys? Because while they were sitting around in Cancun, I kept looking around, looking around. My head was on swivel. And I said, when is that doggone Michael going to pop back up? When is Michael going to pop back up? I was like, Lord have mercy. Will Michael please just stay put? You remember Michael, right? That's the one that had the runaway bride.
Yeah, he can stay away as far as I'm concerned.
Virtual fist bump, Kimberly. Virtual fist bump. Because I'm like, I didn't even understand why he was in the last episode, but I'm telling you, I literally had PTSD. But anyway, they're sitting around, they're talking. Claire says that she may get annoyed with her guy, her husband Cam. And then Cam says at the point of the honeymoon, he's spearheading off of what Lauren said a moment ago. He said the point of the honeymoon is to do something physical. I don't know if it's just me or is this guy a horn dog. That's all he talks about. That's all he thinks about. I don't know. But Lauren says that she's very physically attracted to her husband, Orion. She says that he's really considerate. I have to wonder. I said, okay, he's considerate. I'm wondering, is she? And is she respectful of their differences? I don't know. Cam says that he's going to be really annoying with Claire and that she's taking it like a champ. What did you think about that comment, Kimberly?
It made me nervous because now I think he's going to get worse since she's handling it so well. In my opinion, I think he's taking it easy right now just to see what she'll handle and what she'll be okay with. So now I'm like, okay, he sees that, he's rubbing her the wrong way just a little bit and she's handling it well, like he said. But I think it's going to get worse and it's going to get annoying and she's not going to be able to handle it so well.
Yeah, I thought that was a little interesting. And somebody in my inner circle even said that watches this show said, well, that's kind of a red flag that he said that she's taking it like a champ, almost as if he plans on giving her more annoyance. And, so that's kind of a red flag. And I could kind of see where that was. I said in my notes, I said it was, for me, Cam is kind of reminiscent of all the some of the guys that we've had before. Now I'm gonna hold to this, like I'm gonna sit on the fence with this, right? I said in the moment he reminded me of last season's Eris. Remember Eris, right? He reminded me of seasons ago, Elijah. But then later on, as I watched this episode and I got really frustrated with Claire, I said, you know what? I said, I think this may be a trick of editing, and we're going to find out that maybe it's one of two things. They're either both jerks or she's the jerk and he's not the jerk, and we've been misled. So I'm holding to that. I've got both sides on this one. I don't have a bet yet on who's the jerk, but I don't know. I think it could be both of them. What did you think, Sean?
Well, I mean, he's definitely getting a stiff man edit. That
yes.
He's stiff and clueless, if you want to call it that. And like you said, I don't know.
Or is he willfully ignorant, like he said on the bus? Because I don't think he's
might be willfully ignorant. I mean, that's the edit that he's getting now. We don't know for sure as to what's going on. I don't know.
I get your point. What do you think about Claire? What do you think about Claire in this scene? Not going further into it because we're going to come to that in just a second. But what did you think about Claire just with the group? How she kept I felt like she was kind of condescending to Cam. Did anybody else see that? Did you see that, Sean?
Well, she's the new Nicole. She's the Nicole of this season.
Oh, as far as the therapy part. Well, but I don't.
Yeah, therapy,
I don't know if I don't know if I see that because I don't really see her interacting with the group, pointing out things to them yet. But she seems like she would be ballsy enough to do that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Kimberly, on Miss Claire?
Yeah, I think she is just giving him back the same energy because he has not been a gentleman. So now she's probably, just trying to feed him what he's given her, matching energy, which is not good. But, here we are. Here we are. I told you I would have been over him last week when he asked me, was I not capable of carrying my bags? That would have been it for me.
Well, now let's say you had the whole 8 weeks to finish out the show with him. That's a good point. How would you have handled the next 7.5 weeks? How would you have handled that?
Just like Claire, I would have been over communicative with him. I would have really stressed my feelings, my disdain for him, his actions. I would have made it very clear how I felt to make sure that he understands. And I don't think I would have gotten to the petty part, like she was critiquing him for what he was wearing. And, she just started critiquing him more so.
Yeah.
And I think it was just out of just trying to be protective of her feelings, like, oh, I'm going to hurt you first, before you
Oh,
come.
that kind of okay.
Yeah, I think that's what the game she's playing now.
Okay, I can see that. Now that does make sense, and that puts a nice little context to it. I think that's interesting what you're saying, and I can see that a little bit. What did you think? Last thing before we move on to the next, to move on to the actual couples. What did you think about when Cameron said that he was just a little bit jealous of Becca and Austin's intimacy and how close they seemed? I think in that moment, go ahead. I'm going to ask Kimberly, and then I'll come back to my feelings. Go ahead, Kimberly. I'm sorry.
I don't know what in the world he think. What world is he living in that he think he can get a Becca out of his reactions? Becca wouldn't even be Becca if she was matched with Cameron. Like, I'm just so over him. And it's sad because I like Claire so much and I wanted to like them. And he is just not doing it for me. I don't even know if he understands. I think he just wants that little submissive woman, the one that just goes with the flow.
Okay.
Just the airport thing just said a lot. He was leaving her, and then she said, "You saw me struggling, and you didn't even offer to help." Austin would never, and I don't even think. I don't know. Maybe Becca would have been a better choice because you saw that she didn't even care for Austin to pull out her chair. So I don't know. Maybe she would have been fine with Cameron running, leaving her struggling with
No,
the bags.
I'm with you. I think you brought up a very relevant point. No, I have to agree. She would. I think Austin. I mean, sorry, Becca. I think Becca would have handled him. Uh, she would have communicated. I'll say this. I feel like Becca would have communicated directly to him. The thing about Emily is, I mean, Claire, as you pointed out, she's an over communicator, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's so that she can get a kind of oblivious, like very what's the word when I'm looking for the word coming to my mind is androgynous. That's not what I mean, but ambivalent, like kind of like very unclear, like she wants to give us a word salad so we'll get lost in what she's saying and get confused. But I'm not confused. I'm understanding that she's just talking and she's over talking. He's a man. Men don't talk typically as much as women, and she's talking far too much. But to your point, I agree with you. She doesn't like him, and she's kind of keeping him at bay. And I think he sees that. And the thing about him is, I think that he's the guy that always wants to get in the girl's pants, and he doesn't really care to get to know the girl. And that's worked for him in the past because he's a fairly decent guy, decent looking guy, and it's worked for him. But like he said, he would have a relationship for a year and then he'd have to decompress. So that's kind of the part that's scary to me about him. That's very scary that he would have a relationship and then need to decompress after only 1 year. What are your thoughts, Sean?
Well, a house is only as strong as the foundation on which it's built. So I think basically, when you look at it, looking at it from Cameron's position, he probably has had women that were not a challenge to him, per se.
Right.
Women just easily give in, and of course, Claire is not going to be that one. And I think probably, I mean, she's a few inches short of being a little person, and I think she's got that attitude that, hey, you're not, you're not going to run over top of me. You're not going to run over top of me. And I think
Yeah.
that's probably been her psyche the whole time. That she's probably felt like people try to run over top of her because of her lack of height, of course. And I think that
Hmm.
that plays into her mindset.
Oh yeah, kind of like we talk about the little guy energy. She's kind of bringing that little guy
Yeah,
energy as a
it
woman.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good point. Good point. Good point. Moving on to Becca and Austin. Um, Beck and Austin, they wake up in the morning, their first morning in Cancun, and I love it. They both have smiles on their face. You can see that they're already feeling comfortable with one another. And she's talking about they both make these morning sounds. She likes the fact that they're equally weird and fun. It's really kind of fun watching them. They're a joy to watch. Uh, Sean, what are you thinking? What do you think about this couple right off the rip, just from the honeymoon? Because we don't know yet how this is really going to go.
They did the do.
Oh, you think they did the do?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, come. Please. Yeah, they did the do.
Wait a minute now. Have you been following since episode 1? Because if you have, you
they
know
did
that
the do.
She just had a major surgery. She said she couldn't be doing no do right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
But you know what? But we could find out later, because this show is good for telling us later on, months later into it, that this couple may have done something. So you think that's what it is, huh?
They did do. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's why they so happy and smiling.
Yeah, that's what take the tension off. Take the tension off. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know what, and yeah, that is one way to do that. Okay, all right. What about you, Kimberly? What do you think about they wake up in the morning? What do you think? You think they've done the do already?
I don't know. I can never say. I can never read that because people will assume, but they could just be touchy feely, as we've seen them be from day since the wedding. Like when they
Yeah.
walk down the aisle, they have been over each other. Oh my goodness, it's been a lot. But I said Becca is in love already 3 days
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she seems like it. And you know what he says? He says in a confessional to the camera, to us, he says that she could be the one, as in the one of a lifetime.
Yeah,
So
and he said they nailed it. Or Becca, one of them said they nailed it. They got them right. Talking about the
yeah,
experts.
yep. I believe in my notes that was him. Let me see. Took shower. Okay, wait a minute. I think that was him that said that. Yeah, you're
The
right though. He
PG-13
did.
shower.
No, oh, I don't know. Did they take a shower? We're gonna get to that next. That's not them that took the shower together. That's another couple. We'll get to them in a
Oh,
sec.
okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, Emily and Brennan. That's in the next scene. So we're gonna go ahead and move on, as you pointed out. So we're on Emily and Brennan. Emily and Brennan, they tell us they took a shower together in their swimsuits. And this crazy girl, now this is what I have to ask. Was she drinking? Was she drinking? Because she says that the next morning or the next day, she's telling him at the dinner table that she fell, and she can't believe that he didn't hear her. And then I noticed that he basically didn't even say anything. He didn't say anything. Like he didn't ask, well, how are you feeling? I'm looking at her hand, it's all swollen and busted up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think, Kimberly?
Yeah, that was real weird because even Emily said, I can't believe you didn't hear me fall or something like that. And so, what did they talk about the rest of the night? Did he just pass out, go to sleep? They didn't have any conversations until they woke up and got dressed and went all the way to the restaurant the next morning. That's kind of weird that y'all didn't discuss
It
this
is.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned. So
It is.
maybe they were both, drunk. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I think too. They both could have been
Had to be.
inebriated. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I hadn't thought of that, because they both do like to hit those drinks and that alcohol. That's a
Hmm.
They
really
talk. They
good
can toss it back
point.
big time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I did like the conversation about cooking now. I like to get there.
Okay. Okay. Was that them talking about cooking? Because I don't have that in my notes. Let me hold on. I've got they took the shower together, and then I switch over to the next page. Um, okay, we talked about her falling out the tub or the shower. Oh, so she's talking about the fact that she's a workaholic. She has a very good work ethic, and it sounds like Brennan does too. And then what part was cute was that she imitated him being from Long Island, and she said, "Yeah, I like pizza. I like pizza," or whatever. How she said that, and I thought that was cute. I'm looking at Brendan, and I'm trying to read his body language, and I'm thinking like there's times when he smiles, but other times he seems like he's a little distant from her. Um, I'm not so really sure if he's really getting her or if he's feeling like he's really bonding with her. But I thought it was interesting that they both talked about later in this episode where they were on the beach. They talked about she asked him about hot and heavy time, as we call it here, hot and heavy time, and he said, well, we'll get to the physical intimacy once after we get to know each other. And then he admitted, which was really interesting because he was sounding like he was really this relationship guy. And then he said, but this will be my first time ever trying it that way. So I was like, okay, so you've been kind of tomcatting around too. I guess I'm trying to think of a nice politically correct way to say this. He's been kind of tomcatting around too, just like she's been a easy breezy girl that only gets 3 dates but still getting it in. So I'm a little confused by them. What are you thinking, Sean?
Yeah, I don't know if I can say that the one hitter quitter.
What you thinking?
I think that's what he's used to. Yeah, I think that's what he's used to. and she gives up too much power too quickly. She gives up too much power too quickly. Men by nature, we as men, we like to hunt, and if you just give in so easy to me, we lose interest. I mean, most men don't say they don't like to chase, but I mean, if you just gonna give it up easy, I mean, I'm thinking like, who else you do this to? I mean,
yeah, because that's the other problem with it. You're absolutely right. Yeah. It's like if you're giving it up easily to this one guy, he's thinking, well, you know what? How many men has she been with? The whole notches on the belt thing kind of comes into his mind, and it's not a good look. It's just it's not a good look. But yeah, this couple, I'm gonna say, but we asked this question. I think this couple. And I know Kimberly's going to say she doesn't know, but I'm willing to bet money, literally. I believe this couple has already got it in. I really feel like they've gotten it in. I swear to goodness, because there's one scene like when they showed them, the first scene of this episode where they were together in bed and she was all covered up with the sheet all up to her neck. And then the sheet kind of slips or she either pulls it down and you can almost see her breast almost popped out, but she had a top on, but the breast is very low cut top, right? I think the two of them, I've got a gut sense that the two of them have already done the hot and heavy time.
Yeah, that's two. That's 2 out of the 4. Yeah, I think that's 2 out of the 4.
Are you still going? You still going with Claire and Cameron too? That's a good point though. They do seem very relaxed, as if.
So what I hear you saying is they were not aware that they had hot and heavy time for Brennan and Emily. Because she said they had a PG-13 shower with their clothes on still.
Right. Well, they're swimsuits. She said swimsuits. Becca. I'm sorry. I'm mixing up names now. So that's Becca and Austin that we were talking about first. The couple, the young lady with the pink hair. So yeah. Okay. I'm
trying to think now. Who takes showers with their swimsuits on? I mean, come on.
A couple that doesn't know each other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said I don't think they have yet, because y'all were saying, 2 of the 4 have, this being the second couple. So I'm like, if they had a PG-13 shower, I don't think they went much further than that unless they didn't remember because they were too drunk.
That's the only reason why they got in the shower with the clothes on.
but Kimberly, here's my summation on getting back to, we're talking about Emily and Brennan. My summation about Emily and Brennan. Now let's back up. I'm thinking of Emily and Brennan. Now, remember how they looked when they got back to their hotel room. And this is before they even went to Cancun, because the first night they're still in Denver, right? And they just get a hotel suite somewhere in town in a nice hotel. They remember how they were in bed with one another. Remember how she kept saying, I wish this camera crew would hurry up and leave. I think, they were pretty liquored up then. They were very attracted to each other. That's when they got it in. So anything else after that, it don't even matter because they already got the first time in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like those two had too much heat. I'm watching through the screen and the heat was popping off through the screen, girl. They got it in. They got it in. Yeah, that's my thought on them. But now Oh, last thing about them, we're going to talk about is there as financial. So they talked about financial, and Claire admitted, and I got to get Kimberly's impression about this. Claire admitted that she's bad at math and she doesn't know where her money goes. Um, and then on Brennan's part, he says he likes to live well beneath his means, and he would help her with that. What were your thoughts as an accountant? What are you thinking about that money part, Kimberly?
It's a mess. But as a 27-year-old, Claire, I can understand it. Most of the people that I coach are in their 40s and 50s and are bad with money. They're in debt, depressing debt, and just so much because they've mismanaged money for 20 some years. So I could see that from a 27-year-old. You have student loans, and then you have all these credit cards throwing themselves at you with, low interest rates or no interest rates for such a time. And if you haven't been trained to stay away from that at 27 years old, I could see how she could be bad with it. Thankfully, it's been my goal and my thing since my teens. I've always been stingy with money and I want to know all the details. I want to know
Okay.
everything, and I don't like throwing away money. So, yeah, I could
All
see,
right.
but I love, love, love that when they were talking about it with Brennan and Emily, he said that he was great with the finances. So maybe Brennan can help Claire as well.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. And but now let me ask you this though. Did you like the fact that that she was willing to give over control and power so quickly to basically was a person who's still a stranger? Would you be comfortable with that if you were in her shoes?
Yeah, I mean, if you're already kissing and having hot and heavy time, why not?
Oh Lord. Okay. All right. Yeah, they having hot and heavy times. They already swapping some other responsibilities and some other
Exactly.
energy.
Yep, and risking some things.
Risking something. Well, you know what? And on that note, I got to say this. Remember when Pastor Carol came in and told, seasons ago, told Paige and Chris, were they using prophylactics? Were they using condoms? And then when they said no, he said, well, why not? I think that's very important. I think all of the couples, if they're gonna have hot and heavy time, I'm not really caring if this is your spouse, because at this point you still don't know this person and you probably don't really know fully their background and history
History,
related to
yeah.
physical intimacy, right? So I think everybody should be using them, those prophylactics, and also to prevent unwanted pregnancy too, because we don't even know each other yet to know if we want to have children together. We don't even know we're going to stay together past these first 8 weeks. Thank you for that, Kimberly. I'm going to come over to Sean. Sean, what are you thinking about the financials and giving up control with to your spouse? Would you give up control to your financial control to your spouse who's also a stranger?
Well, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Number one, because now is she the one that says that she grew up privileged or something like that? I believe.
That's
One of
Becca.
them mentioned that's Becca.
Oh,
Okay,
is
that's
that
Becca.
Becca,
So different
Kimberly?
person.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
She
Hmm.
grew up privileged. Okay, so this is Emily and Brendan. Okay, um, you know, finances or lack thereof have a tendency to destroy a lot of marriages. You know, and then of course have to learn how to speak not just I and my to us and we. And then of course I think probably giving control over to even though she may have said it for the camera, she didn't mind, but if he starts to micromanaging, quote unquote, then that could be a very much a problem. But this is my money, this is my money, instead of thinking this is our money and what we want to do in the long range instead of the short term. So I think that could be a very problematic situation.
Yeah, I agree with you. That could be. I think they need to take some more time. And to Kimberly's point, which is a very good point, now that they're married, when they get back home, that might be a good time to call up and do some research on a financial planner or someone to help them with their finances and get that neutral third party, I would say, because rather than just give up complete control to my new stranger husband, no, I would want a financial planner to get in the midst of it and sit down and talk to both of us and find out our style, if we even had a style, if we even had a budget, and to talk to us and maybe walk us through how we're going to go about paying bills and partnering with our finances. But no, I'm not handing over no full control to no stranger husband. No, no, and no, and heck no. Okay, that's just my
Well,
thinking on
Aubrey,
it.
I
I
think
mean,
this is what I think also.
okay.
Yeah, I think the idea is that I mean, this process is so expedited, is mind blowing that we cannot even fathom what it means to be in that process. Number one, and number two, and like most couples that want to get married, I've seen people in recent times when they go for counseling, you bring both of y'all bring a credit report, so we'll see what's going on. And I don't think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the situation with Married at First Sight. I don't think they worry about your credit report, what have you, who you owe. And then a lot of people, particularly in this show, they get caught in the between time. Sometimes it might be a month or two away from renewing their lease, or they just got into a lease, or what have you. Or somebody might be staying at home, and then what happens when I'm staying at home and I move into your place? Is it going to still be your place or our place? And how do we
Ooh,
navigate through
good
those
point.
dynamics?
Very good point. Very good point.
I
Yeah,
mean,
because
because
you're
I
right.
look,
We
look,
don't.
look, this is my place. I ain't putting your name on this lease.
Right. Well, you know what? Just me, my personal observation and thoughts. But if you're young like that, and these people are all assuming that many of them, if not all of them, are currently leasing an apartment or a townhome, minus Orion, who has said that he lives at home with his mother. I don't understand, but that's a whole nother thing. But getting back to if 7 out of the 8 are leasing apartments, I think that all things being equal, if someone has the longer time on their lease, and things worked out after the first 8 weeks, we could move in with that person. I'm just saying. But ultimately, I would think that it's a great idea, like Mirla seasons ago in Houston, is to basically work out a financial plan and get an apartment together after your leases have ended. Get a new apartment, and then it is our apartment. Both of you sign on, and it is our apartment. But because everybody likes to feel like they have some ownership in where you live, right? If your name's on the lease, then you do have legal rights thereof. But if your name isn't on the lease and you're living at home with your mama, well, your mama's the boss. you know
Yeah.
so we move forward from that couple, and now let's really get into the nitty gritty with Claire and Cameron. um Claire and Cameron, we see them, of course they wake up, and she's kind of a little bit pouting and whining about the fact that she's a morning person and Cameron's still asleep, and she's wanting to have breakfast, and I guess she wants to try to have it with her husband, but he's still asleep. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if he runs his bike shop from noon to 9 o'clock or from 9 to 5. I'm not really sure what time clock he's on right there. But he gets up, he gets dressed, they go out, and like to Kimberly's point, she's pointing out that he's no fashion I don't want to say diva, but he's not fashion forward enough. And I'm looking at what she's got on, the crochet top and the mom jean shorts. I'm like, well, doggone it, neither one of you are. What are your thoughts on this, Kimberly? I mean, like is she really starting to nitpick on him?
Oh, yes. I think she is. She's trying to dig before he digs. And that's what I think we're going to get for the rest of the season. She's not going to give him a fair chance. And I think Cameron is just going to shut down. He's not even going to want to try it. Like, who would if she's critiquing you that hard? But hopefully, I don't know, somebody can come back around and help them get back on the right track. But I didn't see
Yeah,
a problem with his little outfit. It
I
was
didn't either.
clean. It
I
ain't got no
didn't either.
holes in it. Is it wrinkled?
Well,
It
you
was
know
just
what she was. What her? Let me just say this and tell me what you think. She was trying to point out when they were close sitting seated together, and she looked at it. It was both the same shade of blue, the top and the shorts, the trunks or whatever. But the
yes.
thing about it, it had two different patterns in it. I didn't have a problem with that. He's a dude. I don't necessarily have to have a guy that is maybe as into fashion, and not saying that I am really high level like I used to be. But I don't have to have a guy that is so into fashion. It's almost like having a guy that's going to be in the mirror primping as much as I do. I've always said, I don't want a guy that thinks he's prettier than me. I don't want a guy primping more than me. I don't like those kind of men. I don't like
Right.
the just too much. But yeah, but I'm trying to think. I don't think he looked bad. And the only other thing I could think was she was maybe a little turned off by the fact that his top had long sleeves, but he had already told her that he sunburns quite a bit. So I'm
Right.
thinking like, hey, I don't have a problem with that. He's trying to protect his skin.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah, so I don't know. She's nitpicking, but here's the thing. I don't think that Cameron seems like the kind of guy that's going to lay down and let her gaslight him and run over him. I think he's going to fight back. And so if fighting is what she wants, fighting is what she's going to get the rest of these weeks left of this show. She's going to get a lot of fighting from this guy cuz he don't seem like he's going to roll over and let her continue to talk to him and treat him any kind of way. I think right now he's giving her some grace and he's giving her
Mm-hmm.
he's trying to see the lay of the land. But if she's gonna keep acting like that, and plus she not bending over, touching her toes for him either in the bedroom,
Right.
he he's not gonna put up with that. Now maybe if she was giving off some hot and heavy time to him, he might allow her some more grace. But I think right now he's giving her a little bit of grace. But when they get back from the honeymoon, I think all bets are off. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I think so. This is not going to survive past honeymoon stage, and I think probably the only reason why it's going to survive is for contractual obligations. That's it, not for love or anything else.
Right, right. Even what did you think? They went paddle boarding, and I thought that was so interesting. They went paddle boarding. They had their own paddle boards, and they were saying, "Oh, we're gonna bond." And I'm thinking to myself, "But you guys are on two different paddle boards. Like, how is that bonding? Couldn't you guys have gotten a tandem bike or went for a walk and held hands? You guys are on two different boards. I don't see that as anything as a competition. He was trying to get there first. He was once again he was leaving her in his dust. So
Mm-hmm.
Space filler, space filler, space filler.
yeah. Right. So I don't
We need
know.
some
I
film
don't
time.
know.
We need some film time.
Yeah, they had to get some film time. And on the note of activities, while everyone had activities, and I think I left out. Okay, wait a minute. We gotta double back for Emily and Brennan real quick. What did you guys think of Emily and Brennan's tequila fest? Their tequila tasting, the
I
That's
shots.
gonna
was
be a problem.
disappointed.
Say again,
Mhm.
Kimberly.
I was disappointed because we already view them as the drunkards of the show. And now they go on an outing to drink more and prove to us because then they were like in a competition. Like if that was my date, I would not have felt pressured to drink all the drinks. They felt pressured to drink all the drinks. So that right there lets you know that they are, I don't even know the word to say, but they like to drink.
They do that to cope with other things that's going on.
Maybe so.
I don't know if I felt like they were coping or if they actually like really just like to drink that much. I felt like Emily likes to drink that much.
Oh yeah, she's a party girl. Party girl.
Yeah, but it was
Well,
nice. Brendan said he's looking forward to, trying new experiences. And that's kind of my thing in relationships. I like trying new experiences with my partner. So I like that Brennan brought that part up.
yeah, that was true. That was true. But did you guys see the the look and the surprise on the lady who was bringing out all of those shots? I mean, she was like, "Okay,
Yes.
who's paying for all of these shots?"
And she was laughing at them.
Yes, she was. Yes, she
Mhm.
was. She was definitely laughing at them like, this is a mess. I'm trying to figure out if they filmed it out of order and maybe they had the drinking and then that's when they got in the shower and that girl fell and broke her wrist.
It could very well be. That's probably. I mean,
I'm
because
thinking
that was quite a bit
they
of
not telling us all
liquor.
of it. Huh?
Right.
Yeah, that was quite a bit. That was quite a bit of liquor. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that
and
was
I
a
don't think it was
lot.
that.
That was
And I don't think it was. I don't think it was the cheap stuff either. So
no, it was a tequila tasting. I think is what they
yeah.
said. But let's move on. We gotta finally get to it. Lauren and Orion. Um, so in the beginning, we see them in the water. They're in some shaded water. I don't know what that was because it wasn't like they were out in on the beach. It was something I don't know if that was supposed to be some kind of therapeutic water, but they talked about wanting to have one bio kid of their own and possibly adopting. And what were your thoughts about this conversation, Kimberly?
I liked it. Orion and Lauren, they're doing a lot of talking, which I believe is why they had the little head bump a little later in the episode. But it
Yeah,
was nice. They were relaxing, they're opened up, and I think it's good to get the conversations going and then kind of confirm what the parents said or the friends and family said, during the wedding and after the wedding. So I think they're doing the right thing by communicating. I just hope that it doesn't damage them because they are going deep very fast.
very fast, very fast. Wait a minute. I've got one thing. I'm looking at my notes because I had written down so many notes and they're kind of tight. Let's go back for one half a second. Very big point that we got to get to about Claire and Cameron. And if I'm not mistaken, Claire's your girl, right? And your friend in your head,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Claire and Cameron, going back to them real quick. So their last scene, they're talking about they went out to dinner, and I like that Cameron at least was saying, "Well, this could be the first night. This could be the start of our beginning of our, relationship together." Was basically what he was saying. He was trying to engage her. It looked like he was at least trying to work towards something, which we can't say that Cameron has done in the past. So this was, like a little baby step on his part. And then the conversation turned to therapy. And she started saying to him, "Well, have you ever had therapy? Do you believe in therapy?" She says, she keeps bringing up, the one thing I don't like about Claire, she keeps bringing up her occupation, the fact that she's getting her master's degree. That's wonderful that she's in her last year of her master's degree for social work or therapy. But don't just keep harping on it. And the fact that she's doing this makes me think, is this the reason why she keeps trying to therapize this guy? Well, have you had therapy? And he says yes. When he was a kid, he did go to therapy. And he says he believes in it. He's for it. And then she's like very accusational, like she's kind of condemning him. She's like, "Well, why aren't you in it now?" Or, "Why don't you do this? And why don't you do that?" And I'm feeling like it's just a lot of finger pointing. How can you get to know someone if you've already made your decision on them? Kimberly, did you have any thoughts about their conversation as it related to therapy, his occupation? I feel like she's looking down on him because he fixes bikes and owns a bike shop for a living.
Yeah, she did. I think it was too much too soon, as far as therapy. And then the part about fixing bikes, that was a little wrong, Claire. But I think it's just her trying to dig, like, oh, you think you're here, but you're here. And I like the way Cameron handled it though. He compared his little bike fixing to a surgeon. Okay. So don't come for his little he
He
said it's just like
did.
a
He did.
surgeon.
He says, "But does the surgeon get bored with fixing people?"
And that's
And,
that's Cameron.
and that's what
That's
I'm saying. Cameron is not gonna sit down and go quietly in the night. Cameron gonna fight that girl, so we're gonna be in for a
yep.
lot of fighting.
Yes. Yeah, but they did have a good exchange. I think after that, although I didn't like that they were sitting so far apart after that little activity, it was like, goodness, can y'all move a little closer together? But it was
Hmm.
like she said, I'm having fun when I'm laughing. And then he said, I make you laugh. And then it's like Claire regretted saying that. She was like, yeah, you do make me laugh. It was like she regretted it.
See, he's quick. I think he's quicker than
Yes.
she is. So he's
Yes.
gonna. I think what she doesn't realize, but what I already see, he's quicker on his feet. He has a dry
Mm-hmm.
wit, which she doesn't seem to get. But a lot of us as viewers, we're chuckling and laughing right along with him. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that when they get off their honeymoon, if she's still taking this posture, he's gonna take off his boxing gloves and he's gonna let her. He's gonna put on the boxing gloves. He's gonna let her have it because, and I don't mean
Right.
that literally. I mean that in a figurative way because I think right now not to say that he's a good, considerate husband, not to say I agree with that at all, but I think
Mm-hmm.
he's at least trying to understand her and trying to work with her. But she's not trying to see none of it. What are your thoughts, Sean? What are your thoughts about the therapy talk, and also the privilege talk too? I wanted to bring that into play because something she said about him being privileged and about do things just always come to you, and she said that she didn't agree with his philosophy about that, and she kept pointing out, well, we're so different. And I thought, yeah, this lady really doesn't like him because she's trying to pick a fight with him.
Yeah, that's all it is. And I think the idea is that her trying to use her therapy. I guess what she's learning in her class, her master's classes. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I don't think she's a therapist. You know, I think a therapist is a person
Mm-mm.
who has a doctorate in the discipline per se. You know, I mean, right now she just temporarily just has a bachelor's degree, if you want to call it that, leading towards a bachelor's plus 30, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, toward a master's in psychology or therapy, whatever, counseling, what
Now,
have
to
you. And I think
be
she,
fair, to cut not to cut you off, but to interrupt,
mhm,
I will interject this as someone that studied in that field. With a master's degree in social work, technically, she can take the test and be licensed as a and well, at least in this state, and I think in many states, you can be licensed as a therapist with a master's degree in social work because the clinical work alone, I'm telling you, is treacherous. There's so much to it.
mhm,
You will see some of everything: homelessness, addiction, and you will
mhm,
go through a lot of different things that people are dealing with. So once she gets that, she would be a licensed therapist. But go ahead.
mhm. And that's true because I mean, some people use that title, and because it makes them feel like they are more than what they are, and then some people use it because that's truly who they are. I don't like it the way she's trying to be his therapist on the show and being
Right.
condescending toward him. No, I don't like his attitude towards her. So I don't really have a favorite among them, per se. And about the time, like now when you talk about the entitlement, I mean, I guess looking at it from me, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Everything that I got, I had to work for it. It just didn't come to me by being at the right place at the right time, per se. I had to work for that. And unlike what Cameron said, if you're just at the right place at the right time, the right door will open for you, so forth. I don't see it. I can't see it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's rough, and I think it's very rough. One of the things we learned in just a social work class in undergrad is that you are not to use your therapy in your personal life. So I find the fact that she's trying to therapize him in this show, I find it laughable. And then the fact that she's so judgmental, I'm thinking she's really not going to make a good social worker. But maybe that's just the side of her we're seeing right now. But I'm just shaking my head. No, no, Claire. And then the part about privilege. Well, me as a black woman, as I look at them through my TV screen, I'm like, privilege is something you two are both gifted with by virtue of the fact that you're Caucasian. So neither one of you can hold a candle on that issue and try to say who's more privileged, who's less. Well, maybe you could say that he is because he's not only Caucasian, but he's also
His
male.
meal.
So
Hmm.
so he does have an advantage over her. But for her as a Caucasian woman to even argue that, again, me as a black woman, like I'm like, okay, so we're really arguing over first place and second place, really?
That's all it is. Yeah. Because
Okay,
truth, she
yeah.
she she benefited the most from affirmative action. White females have.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, and did. Here, let me ring my
Yes.
special bell. And did, and that is not missed on you or either you or myself, and I'm sure probably not Kimberly either. But moving forward, getting back to Lauren and Orion, so they talked about having one bio kid, one adopted kid, possibly. At this point, they're getting along really well. They've done a lot of talking, no activity. I got an issue with that because if you know anything about men, men get jumpy if they're just sitting around yakking and yakking and they're not up running, jogging, skateboarding, ski doing, or doing some activity. I would have never sat and talked with a man for hours on end that I didn't know. That's just me, but I'm just saying. I think that's also production. I think production knew exactly what they
Yeah.
were doing, and they knew it was going to build up Because even in the first scene where they're sitting talking with the other couples, I felt that Orion looked like he was very tense. Orion says that Lauren is warm and she will make a good mom, to which Lauren smiled and she was like, "Oh, thank you." Orion also says that he wants an everlasting love and that he thinks they're very well matched. And Lauren laughs and says, "We're good at this marriage thing, huh?" But in the next scene, Lauren and Orion are in the bathroom. She's laying her edges, and he makes a mistake and says, "Oh, let me watch you putting your edges down." To which she laughs at him and says, "Well, no, it's called laying your edges." Kimberly, did you have any thoughts about her laying her edges?
No, but she did a good job. The only thing I didn't like is how she kind of picked at him because he didn't say the proper word. So this
Mm-hmm.
relationship is going to be a lot of learning each other just
Mm-hmm.
because of the culture differences. And he's so deep into his roots, she's deep into hers. So it's like they both want to rush each other to the finish line of learning about each other's culture. And that is going to be tough. And that's for I think all the couples on the show, well, maybe except Beck and Austin, but they all have some like differences. You got Russia, New Zealand, it's a lot of
Yeah,
mixtures. So this is
you're
going to be a
right.
tough season overall. So I'm glad she showed him how to lay the edges and the bonnet talk, but they're covering a lot.
Yeah, she did. She did. Even calling her hair the little baby hairs. She said, "You hear that crunchy sound? Those are me
Right.
combing through the naps." And some people took offense to that, but I didn't. I said that was funny to me. But everybody,
Yeah.
and that just goes to show how different. I mean, I'm talking about people that are black people. Some black women. I was listening to some other the YouTubes, and some people took offense to it. I didn't take any offense to it. It's just what she
No.
called it, and hey, it is what
It's
it
real
is.
life.
It's real life. It's real life. In the next scene, we've got Orion and Lauren. They're talking. They're in the hammock. They're kissing, and they get in that bottom lip. And this is where I start to look at their body language, and I'm feeling like mm, something is off physically. Something is off with this kissing, and myself, my gut instinct tells me these two don't like each other as much as they're pretending to. Tell me what you think. What your thoughts are, Kimberly.
I agree. The kiss was like too much for me. And I don't know. It was just it maybe forced, or it just seemed
Hmm.
maybe because they were in the hammock and it just seemed like the right thing to do, but it was too extra, like let's make these people think that we really like each other but we don't. So I kind of felt like maybe something else happened at the house, or at the resort. I don't know, I'm just not feeling it for these two, and then it makes me wonder, was there a little like switch with the scenes? Maybe it was an editing thing that made something come before something else, kind of like the conversation that happened later
Ooh,
on. So I don't know.
yeah.
Just they're not progressing as much as I thought they would, and I don't know if Lauren is 100% sold, because I think she actually said she wanted a black man, and her friends, I do remember they said, "Well, what if he's not black?" And she was like, "Oh, I
Right,
hadn't thought about that." And so now he's not black,
right,
and you're
right.
being forced to think about it.
But she also did say that her mother told her to be open to dating outside of her race. And I think, to be quite frank, I've said this 101 times, and I think I probably lost some subscribers, and that's okay because I'm going to keep saying it. I think that myself as a black woman, I think that other
Mhm.
black women, especially younger black women who are in the arena for marriage and having children, I think they definitely should look outside their race. I think that you
Yeah.
should be open. I don't say that it's like I'm not telling people that I think that you should prefer someone outside of your race. I'm simply
Mhm.
saying to be open to it. And you never know. You just really never know with all the opportunities, as I've had. And I'll say this, I've had friends that were my age and older, that when we were younger, I'm going back like some 20 years ago, when we're really, to me, like when you're in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, when you're trying to put together maybe getting married and having a family, right? I've had
Mhm.
them come to me later and say, because I was open to it from when I was, you know, maybe let's say in my early 20s, and I've had them come back and tell me, you know what, you were right. If I had looked and been open, because I had a guy at work that we worked together. He always liked me. He wanted to take me out, but I kept saying no. I was waiting on a brother. And then 20 years later, they're like, I wish I had been open. I wish I had been able to pivot that way. But now I can't find a man, black or white, to really go out with that ticks off all the boxes that I want him to tick off. Okay. This is what I'm hearing now. I'm just saying that's my experience. Doesn't mean it's everybody's experience or that their friends' experience, but that is what I'm hearing. So
Yeah,
something to think
I've been
about.
told the same.
Well, Kimberly, have you done ever thought about or dating outside of your race, or has that been
Oh yeah,
something
I've
you've
done it
pursued?
most of my 20s because I did go to a PWI, so that's all I was around was white people. So been there, done that. Y'all enjoy. I'm good with the black men.
Okay, okay. Well, see, and you know what? But I like the fact that you were willing and open to try something different. And so for
Yeah,
you, that's what I'm saying. All I'm saying too is try
yeah,
something
try.
different because
Mm-hmm.
like traveling, try something different. And then if you don't like it, hey, no harm, no foul.
Yes, I
Now you
agree.
know.
Yep.
Now you know. But thank you for that, Kimberly. I'm coming over to you. What are you thinking about that kissing scene with Lauren and Ryan? Sean.
Well, this is one couple that I really can't put my finger on just yet. I, I don't know whether it's an experiment because of what they both said at the beginning, that what he had gone out with and what she had done and how she identified. I don't know if that was a way to bring it in between those two. You know what I'm talking
Okay.
about, right? I guess you do. Um, I, I don't know. I mean, to me, he just doesn't seem the man for her. And I don't have anything against interracial relationships. Now, if you had caught me in the early '90s, I would have.
Okay.
Like, daggone, why my sister's got to be with daggone so dude, daggone, I'm on my pro black tip now, Pan Africanist tip,
And wait
you
a
know.
minute, how many times have you dated outside your race? But okay, we're gonna leave that off the table for right now. Go ahead.
I've never done it.
Not
Number
not
one, because I
even
don't want you.
once.
Wow,
Never
Not
once,
not
never
even one
once,
time. Oh
not even
wow.
one
that's
time.
surprising.
I
I
don't
would have
want to
never
see you as a.
guessed.
I,
Ring that bell
I
again.
don't want to see
Okay.
you. I don't want to see you as a trophy, and I don't want you to see me falling with me because you think of a stereotype of a black man. I don't want.
Or like a
I didn't want to
fetish.
do
Like some
that.
people call it
I
a
didn't want
fetish,
that.
huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
fetish. Yeah,
Yes.
exotic fetish. Black women so exotic. Black women so exotic. Let me see. Because we easily fall into those stereotypes and think that the stereotypes must be true, or some black men use it as a come up, you know, when they have, gotten this other woman outside of black or black
Caucasian
woman,
woman, yes.
what
Or
have you,
or Latina,
Caucasian woman, yeah,
Latino woman.
or
Yeah.
Latina, yeah, yeah, and so and then some people do it because they psychologically hate themselves, they
Yeah,
and
now there's
everything
some
about
truth to that.
themselves.
I've seen those situations. Yeah.
So yeah, so I
Mm.
don't know how to actually answer that question, Aubrey.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on because we got a lot more to talk about with them. So we're gonna move on till we get to that big point. They talked about while they were in the hammock. They talked about gender roles in the house. Or maybe this is another part. But anyway, they're talking about gender roles at this point. I've got it in my notes because so they must have done it. He asked her, what does she feel about traditional gender roles in the home? And Lauren says that she likes to cook for her man. And she says, but it's good that you can also cook. I think that every adult person should be able to cook. And I absolutely agree with her. Male, female, don't identify. What do they call it? People that are non binary, whatever you're calling yourself these days. Um, but if you are over the age of, let's say, 14, I think you should be learning how to cook for yourself because at some point you're going to
Mhm.
leave home. You need to know how to cook. That's part of
Yeah.
adulting. Um, he talks about financial roles. He says that he'd like to be the provider. He'd like to have the household where he's doing 80% of the financial providing, and she'd only need to do 20%, but that he's just not there yet. And I thought to myself, well, then maybe you should have waited to get married then, if that's your goal. What were your thoughts, Kimberly? What were your thoughts on the gender roles, the cooking, and the finances?
I agree with what Lauren said. Flexible gender roles, because I don't cook. I know how to cook. I don't like cooking, and so
Okay.
my man loves to cook. He cooks, so we're
Hey,
good.
you put
And
me on to that one. Make sure you get a guy that can cook, okay, and likes to cook.
right,
I'm like, okay.
yeah, because I grew up, like I said, my stepdad, my mom married an amazing man. My brother's dad, he cooked. He cooked well. He also worked. He helped with the household chores. My mom had 3 children. He moved us into his very nice home, and he was a great example. And that has stuck with me for years and years. So this scene, yeah, this scene is the turning point for me because, first of all, they gave her someone that she's going to have to teach a lot about her culture. She, kind of wanted the black man.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's not as masculine, I don't think, as she wanted. And then now this 80-20 rule, because I think they started at like 60-40, and then she was like, no, that's not what you said. So it's like, okay, are they not agreeing?
Well, at least he didn't say 50-50 like a
Oh
lot of
my
men are saying.
gosh.
I'm like,
Thank
you know what? I
God.
don't even need you for the 50-50. That's a roommate. Bye.
Yeah, so now I'm starting to see things change, and I'm like, uh-oh, did they do my girl Lauren wrong? It's like, I don't know. It's starting the strikes are adding up.
Ooh, they did her dirty, girl. Kimberly, they did her dirty.
It's starting to look
Yeah,
like it.
They do not like black women on Married at First Sight. I swear to
yeah.
goodness they
Oh
don't. I swear.
man.
Okay, Sean, your thoughts about the financial roles of men in the home, what they were saying, and about the cooking and the cleaning. What are your thoughts about that? How did you feel about them?
Well, I see number one. I don't describe the general number one because it's just me. But I have been in a relationship where there were no quote unquote gender roles assigned, quote unquote.
Okay.
I think, and my question is, because he comes from such a matriarchal background, is he going to expect her to be like a mother to him or a wife to him? Because
Ooh.
the idea is that because he talking about he can't stand for a woman to boss him around, being bossed around. Now, but you come out of a
Mm.
matriarchal background. Now you got to divorce yourself from that cultural mindset. Then,
Yes.
if
Yes.
the women in your culture have always taken the lead, quote unquote, and so I don't think he knows what leadership is per se
Exactly.
because of that
Mm.
and so I think if this marriage would work, it would be a lot of deferring to her to say, well, what do you think about it? Why don't you take the lead on this? Why don't you do blah, blah, blah. And I think she would have to make a lot of the major decisions because of his used to being in a matriarchal background or matriarchal structure. Um, um, I believe that men and women are equal in the sense of person, but unequal in terms of purpose. And I believe this is my opinion. I believe that
Okay.
the woman makes the home, but the man may make the house. Hence, he's called a husband. Husband simply means the house band. He holds the house together, but she makes the home
All
within the
right.
house.
All right
And
now.
so I mean, I know everybody don't believe like I believe, what have you, and I don't expect that to happen. But I think it's going to spell a problem right there because her dad is one. Her dad. I mean, he's not gonna be anything like her dad. Of course, she don't want him to be, but it's gonna be like, okay, now it's got a little too soft on this, per se. So I think that's what's going to happen if this marriage will survive. I don't know.
Right. Okay, very good. So we're gonna conclude. We're gonna get thank you for that. We got to the hot tub scene, which I guess again, and I want to say this. This is my disclaimer, or my complaint or my issue with Married at First Sight and Kinetic Production. Why did this couple? Why did this interracial couple? Why did this couple with a black female, why did they not have an activity this whole day, this whole episode? Everybody else went paddle boarding, they went canoeing, some people went canoeing, some people went to a tequila tasting, they went swimming. Why did this couple not have an activity, and we simply get them around all this water but no activity? Because most men need to be physically um, in some kind of physical motion, or else they're going to get tired of just sitting around talking. I don't know any man, I don't care how soft some people may say that he is or think that he is, most men like to be physically active, especially if they're young and healthy like this man appears to be. But they're in the hot tub nonetheless. And Lauren decides to ask him, have you ever used the N word? To which, she says, no, do you use the N word? And he said, no. And then she goes a step further and she says, have you ever? And he was honest. He said, well, yes. Ignorantly so. I have used it, and I used to rap along with songs that used it. And then my mother and others in my community told me that this is not good. This is not the correct thing, and that it's very ignorant. And I stopped. Okay. And so then he goes on and he says, well, but have you ever used some terms derogatory, some racial derogatory terms? And she said, yeah, ignorantly, I have. And then he asked her about the skin question for natives. And I'm not going to say the word because it's derogatory, and YouTube has umpteen 5011 rules about what you can say and what you can't say. So if you don't know what we're talking about, go watch the episode, go look it up. The word for skins for people of Native American heritage, that is derogatory. He asked her about that, and she says, no, actually, I haven't used that word. I don't even know what that word means, actually. And as she's saying that, they're sitting in the hot tub. This guy's been in the sun, and she looks at him, and as she's saying it, she starts laughing because there's splotches of red on his face where he's maybe gotten some sunburn, where his face has gotten flushed from the hot tub, the heat. And she starts laughing maniacally, I say, in his face, and says, yeah, I do get that skin term. I get it because you are that right in this moment. And I mean, he went from red to pale, like all the skin, all the color and flush in his face went out, and the mood totally changed. Kimberly, what do you think is going on here? What do you think about this?
This was a mess. This is something that I just didn't know how to feel. First of all, Lauren, just her laughing uncontrollably was
Yes.
very bad. Like a first start there. That was terrible. I couldn't believe that she did it because they were already talking about derogatory terms. And then he said, oh, like this term. And then, like, there was no reason for you to laugh in that moment because y'all are talking about things that are negative. So what's so funny, it's like she just kind of jumped outside of reality for a minute. So it was confusing at why she laughed so hard. My mouth was on the floor. And I just felt so bad for him. And then, in my opinion, she still didn't apologize enough as they went on with the conversation. I would have been so super apologetic because that is so degrading. Just like if someone would have said or laughed about the N word. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't take that word lightly.
Oh my God, somebody gets it, because I'm all over the internet, and some people I haven't even bothered to watch theirs yet because I already know they're gonna side with Lauren. They're gonna say I'm team
Mm,
Lauren, and I'm not team anybody, but I'm on the side of right, or what I believe to be
mm-hmm.
right, and you may not agree with my opinion. But that laughing maniacally in his face, I was like,
Yes,
what? What is going
it's so
on, girl?
long. Yeah.
What, Lauren? What is going on? This man is your husband, and he's just getting to know you, and you're laughing maniacally in his face. But then, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, to your point, it gets worse because then she starts to compare the situation with what happened on the bus the day before with Cameron saying about the reservation and don't go
Mm-hmm.
off the reservation, it's unsafe. And that was an ignorant statement, but it was probably a misslip of the tongue or misspoke. But she was, if you think about it, let's go back to that. She was laughing on the bus when he said that. When her husband said to Cameron in response, well, you know what? That's okay. I've heard ignorant before. And I think that was his way of kind of letting Cameron know, I see you and I see what you're doing and I don't approve, right?
Mm-hmm.
She sat there and she laughed and she said, well, but ignorant isn't a bad thing. And she kind of minimized it in that moment. And I said, uh-oh, there's going to be a problem between these two. Because she's already minimizing his stuff. And then later on in this same scene, flashback to this episode, she's busy telling him that as a Black woman, she's been stomped upon, she's been talked about, she's been microaggressions at work and all these things that we have all as Black people, most of us, if not all of us, have experienced in this country from white people, from Caucasians. We've all experienced this minimization, the stereotyping, and all these different things where people gaslight us. And but she's saying she's trying to compare now her pain to his pain. And I'm thinking to myself, this ain't the moment, baby. This is not the moment. We're on his pain. Stay in the moment and stay on his pain, and you'll do a whole lot better. Empathize with how he's feeling in the moment because you just laughed at this man in his
Yeah.
face with this racial epithet. He didn't laugh in your face when you said the N word. What's
Mm-hmm.
going on?
Or when she talked about her naps.
Yeah, no, he didn't laugh. He didn't laugh at that word. I mean, hey, he took it all in and said, "Okay, that's how you lay it down. Go ahead, baby." He was supportive. But I'm feeling like I'm getting this feeling from this woman like, Lauren, you weren't ready for this. So your friends were maybe right. What if they match you with some guy that's not Black? Because the thing of it is that you got way ahead of yourself with this. You laughed in his face. You said sorry, sorry, sorry. But here's my thing about apologies. If you ever do something to me and then all you can say is sorry, 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 and then you still look like you're about ready to laugh again, instead of
Mm-hmm.
saying what you're sorry for, tightening your face up and getting real serious about apologizing and saying, well, you know what? And even if this was my thing, if she had came forward and just said, you know what? Um, here's the thing about me that I forgot to tell you. When I get nervous, I laugh. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry just now because that was the very wrong time to laugh. Yeah, the N word, right. Um, yeah, so that was the very wrong time to laugh. But if she had just said that, I felt like maybe it could have de-escalated. And then this whole thing, I got my notes here, guys, but this whole thing where she kept pushing his button. She said,
Mm-hmm.
um, is this conversation uncomfortable for you? What do you think, Lauren?
Right.
Is this freaking conversation uncomfortable for you? What do you think, Lauren? Look at his face. Look at his body language. Come on now. Then she says, well, I'm actually glad we had this talk. I don't know how you feel. And that's when he interjected and said, you know what? I am heated. And then he let her have it. He said, I am heated. I don't feel good about this. This is not good. You laughing in my face. And then she kept trying to talk over him, saying, well, but you didn't do this when the Caucasian man on the bus said XYZ. Let me tell you something. Maybe this is just me, but years ago, when I first moved into my home in the suburbs, okay, some of my neighbors that I met, because I'm, as people that know me always say, I never meet a stranger. I happen to be blessed to have met some people that had escaped the gas chambers of Germany, right? So you understand what I'm talking about? These are people from um, uh,
Auschwitz and stuff. Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I'm trying to think
Auschwitz,
of the yeah. I'm trying to think of
the
when we
Holocaust,
talk about it. The
and the
Holocaust. Thank you.
Holocaust.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was friends with these people. Now, can you imagine? I was friends with this lady, and I've known of two people that had the numbers. So we talk about how, as Black people, we were basically treated as chattel. These people had numbers they weren't called by their name. They were called by these numbers that was tattooed on their arm, their forearm, in green ink. I've seen it twice. And I was blessed enough to know these people and talk with them deeply. Now, can you imagine me trying to tell a Jewish person that's been to Auschwitz, that's been in the Holocaust, and that has lost every single one of their family members, and by the grace of God, they were able to escape and get to the United States of America? Can you imagine me trying to compare my pain and my ancestors' pain with their pain?
Mm.
We can't compare. We can't. When somebody is in their moment, the best thing you can do is stay with them in their moment and deal with it and empathize. You can't sit back and compare, did I skin my knee? Did I break my hand? Did you break your hand? Be with the person in the moment and quit trying to make your pain greater than their pain, because basically what you're saying is, I don't give a F about your pain. That's what I felt like Lauren was doing. It may not have been what she intended to do, but that's what it felt like. You don't care about his pain because you don't relate to him, because you're not a Native American and he is. But if he were to take that same approach about your blackness, that he doesn't relate and he doesn't care, because guess what? You're actually on his land, his people's land, his ancestors' land, and he don't give a F about how you feel as being brought here in slavery and being enslaved by Caucasian people and the colonizers. You would have a problem with that, wouldn't you? You would have a problem with that if he didn't care nothing about your blackness and about your people's history, and the issues that black people have had and still have to this day with racism and oppression, and his people still have to this day with racism and oppression. You're not being in the moment and sticking with the fact that what you did, laughing in his face, and you trying to compare it with this man who's sitting across the way on the bus. But guess what? He doesn't have to wake up every morning and look in that man's face. You're his safety. You're his safe spot. And just like she said, her mom told her that she was to find a man who will protect her and be her safe spot. Guess what? We as women, as wives, have to be our husband's safe spot too.
True.
I'm sorry. I can't take up for Lauren in this moment. Now, did he hold a grudge after she apologized and after she kind of sat back, and are they both still processing this in the moment? Because I've had days and nights to process all of this information myself and put this together the way I put this together. Yeah, he was holding a grudge. These people aren't going to make it. I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think they're going to make it. And I'm sorry, I took over with my rant. So let me come back to Kimberly and see what Kimberly has to say about this. And then we'll end on Sean, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Oh yeah, I still stuck with what I said earlier. She was wrong. The long laugh was too much. I would have, yeah, I know she may have apologized a few times, but I would have just like kept apologizing, because the laughter was, first of all, awkward, and you could see that he was offended. Like, it was clear. There was no guessing. It's not like you couldn't tell he was offended by her laughter. And then she just, like you said, jumped into how she felt, or as a black woman in America, which I get. I understand that side too.
We
But
both
it was
did
just
it.
right, but it was just bad timing. It was just terrible timing, and I don't feel like she owned up to her mistake enough. So I can't wait to go and watch the other rants and reviews on this. And now that you said they are cutting up, but yeah,
Oh, they
I
cutting up
just,
something terrible, girl. But
it
it's
was
good
it was
because
bad.
I think everybody has a valid opinion about this, and you're going to
Yeah.
stand somewhere in the middle. But what I did as a reviewer and a commentator on this, what I did and what I try to always do, is I looked at it from, I can't help but look at anything but from, other than from a black woman in America's perspective, because that's who I am.
Hmm.
If you were to put me in a demographic group, but as an
Right.
individual person, I took myself outside of that, and didn't really have to take myself outside of it. I just put myself, if somebody, we're being intimate, if me and my husband, my new husband, we're being intimate in the hot tub, and he all of a sudden starts laughing at me. Let's say my husband is Caucasian and he starts laughing at me behind the N word. I would have
No.
problem. I would have a
Yes.
big problem. Trust and
Oh,
believe
yes.
that. So that's where I stayed at because and then even though if it could have been a nervous laughter, she never explained that. And she
Mhm.
never stopped trying to compare. Okay, first I'm comparing the difference between the Native Americans pain and the Africans pain in America. Okay, those are
Mhm.
two different things and you don't even have to compare them. Just let's just stay away from that because comparison is a problem anyway. And then she
Yeah.
started trying to compare herself to how he responded to her and how he was angry with her when actually he was being reserved with his anger. Yes, he was angry, he was hurt, he was disappointed, but why don't you let him sit in that and then come back and visit that an hour from now, 2 hours from now? Because
Mhm.
she didn't allow him and she kept poking. Well, how do you feel? How do you feel? What do you think about that? You seem tense. You seem
Right.
tense. Have you
And then
ever been in
putting
an
out his
argument or
shoulders.
yeah, have you ever been in an argument or disagreement with somebody and they're sitting there bothering you, telling you, well,
Yes.
you seem tense. Why is your chin like that? Why are you
It,
rolling your, why? Don't say nothing to me when I'm upset with you. Leave
it
me
makes it worse.
alone. Let me
Yeah.
stew in my mess. And when I get better, I'll come back to you or you can come back to me and we can have a discussion about it. But right now is not the moment. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Okay. Sean, okay, Sean, what are your thoughts about this? And we're gonna wrap this thing up because we got another podcast to do in a minute.
Well, that is definitely a historical and a historical argument. Language changes over time, because the same people who we call Indians, the word Indians was unacceptable at one time. Then,
Okay,
of
so don't use
course,
it no more on this podcast. Thank you.
and then of
I'm
course,
telling you because they got artificial intelligence combing my videos
yeah,
every time I
oh
put
yeah.
one out. So yeah, so don't
Then
use
you
it. But
got
I
then you
get it.
got then you have native person. Then you move from that to indigenous people. So
Indigenous.
you
That's
know,
what we.
the ball keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. Just like with black people, there was a time before the 1960s. You better not call a black person black. You know, it's not until we
Colored.
get to
Yeah.
James Brown that said, yes, not until we get to James Brown that said loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Being called black was fighting words at one time because we didn't want to be called black. We want to be called Negro. Negro, which is Spanish for black. But anyway, so we've gone from color to black, Negro to black, from black to Afro American, from Afro American to African American. Uh, However, I think with the dynamics between those two, I agree with both of you all, and I see it in a fresh perspective now. That yes, she was wrong from the standpoint of the laughter in his face, and as he admitted on the after show with Keisha Knight Pulliam, that they had to sit down for 2 hours to try to decompress from that situation.
Mm.
So
Yes.
it was
Yes.
longer than what we saw. It was longer than what we saw. So we only saw the show itself, but they had to live in that moment after the filming, that particular scene. Um, Now, I guess the idea is learning how do we navigate from here. Of course, like she said, she like you said, Aubrey, that he does not have to live with Cameron. He has to live with her. And so the idea is that now, if my wife did this to me, who I live with every day, what can I do about that? Versus the man that I'm just a contestant with, per se. Um, and I think this is going to be probably looking at the beginning of the downhill spiral. That the spiral out of control, and it's going to go from this to something else, and from something else to something else, and then I say no at decision day. That's what I believe is going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. Sadly, it's. I think some things are unrecoverable from,
Yeah.
and I'm getting the feeling that this very well may be one of them. But one thing I want to ask you, and then for you specifically, Sean, uh, well, um, and then I've got the next week's highlight. Um, what would you say as a man, because you're the only man on the panel? What would you say the one thing that men want from a woman, their woman? What is the one thing if they could have one thing from their woman? What is it?
The
That's
same
very
thing.
important.
The same thing that Aretha Franklin said. RESPECT. Respect. You know.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I think that's the number one need for men. most of us men, we don't go around saying, well, I just want her to love me. I just want her to love. Most of us men just want respect. Respect me as a man. Don't treat me as a little boy, but respect me as a man.
Right. And respect my personhood. And since his personhood is
respect
that
my
of
personhood.
an indigenous, right. And then since this particular Orion in this situation, his personhood and his ethnicity and his heritage is that of an indigenous person. That's what I'm saying. That part about respect, that's exactly what he didn't get by her laughing in his face. That was very disrespectful. And I can't think of a man that I've ever dated or known on a close level that disrespect, that is probably the most painful thing of all. And that's what I feel like that's the reason why they have a problem. But last question, this is to both of you, and we'll start with Kimberly on this one. What did you guys think about next week's highlights? We see Lauren telling Orion that she had hot and heavy time 2 weeks ago, and he responds to her and he says, well, with that, I don't see myself being intimate with you. What were your thoughts about that, Kimberly?
I agree. And it goes back to what I said, I think when we were watching it live, that I wouldn't be surprised if they'd all slept with someone, recent, once they found out that they're going to be going on this process, because you don't go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to, get a great looking person. I'm going to be so attracted to them and I'll, be having this hot and heavy time soon. You kind of go into it thinking, I don't know. So let me phone a friend, which is what we've seen in past seasons.
Yeah.
Hey, just say, let me top myself off.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So, but I also agree with Orion, because I would have been the same way 2 weeks. That's not coming back on the STD test. So
no, she said 2 months now. She did say 2 months.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, even still, either way, I think I would have did the same thing him. I would have been reserved, period. I don't even know if I could kiss this early.
Ooh,
I don't think so.
Well, they didn't already swap speakers. We already seen them in the hammock doing that. So
they did it.
Good point. And over to you, Sean, very quickly, because as we wrap up.
I tell you what, if I did it, you would never find out. I would never volunteer that information.
That's what I said. She shouldn't.
I would not volunteer that information.
Keep it to yourself. Keep it to your doggone self.
Just keep it to yourself. Between you and that person. I mean, that person that has to be dragged into this. Nobody. Don't ask, don't tell. Bill Clinton. Don't ask, don't tell.
Guys, we got to get out of here. We're counting down to our guys. Check us out in about 35 minutes. Check us out for Ready to Love, Make a Move. Sean will be on that panel. We'll see you soon. But we're going to get out of here. We're going to say goodbye, y'all. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you. All right, Coach James.